Well, howdy, my special little angels. Just want to say happy Thanksgiving, and go get your turkey on, your pie on. And this month, we're going to be doing special little, actually my favorite books I want to read to y'all. I'm Alize, so let's get started. My first book I'm going to be reading to you is called The Elves and the Shoemaker. And let's get reading. The Elves and the Shoemaker. Once upon a time, a shoemaker named Petra lived with his wife, Bettina. Although they had a couple longed to have children, they had only helping Bettina make shoes. All they wanted to do was have children. She grew to love her work, and like her husband, took pride in the great craft of making shoes. Because the shoes were so well made, they lasted a long time. As time went on, fewer and fewer customers appeared to Beltram and Bettina's doorstep. By winter, the shoemaker and his wife had no customers at all. Didn't even know what they were going to do. And here's Beltram and Bettina. They're getting their shoes making. And here's the little dog over here sitting here watching them make their shoes. Well, let's keep reading and see what's next. One night, the shoemaker and his wife discovered that they had only enough leather to make one more pair of shoes. Even worse, since they had not sold any shoes, they had no money to buy no more leather for the next day. Just then, Squint, the one-eyed cat, meowed at their window. Squint was a bully who liked nothing better than trouble, and bullying is very not good. Wolf had been doing peacefully laying at Bettina's feet, their dog, but when he heard Squint, he lunged for the cat. He knocked over everything in his path, including Bettina and Bertram's workspace. The workshop was in shambles. Stuff just sold everywhere. Bertram and Bettina were so discouraged, they decided to go to bed early that night and didn't make the shoes at all. We'll clean up this mess tomorrow, they said. Dang, Wolf put all our stuff everywhere. And here's Beltram, and here's Bettina, and there's Wolf, and there's Squint, the cat. Well, little did they know that they had three kind-hearted elves named Twizzle, Dandykin, and Popsy. Had slipped into the shop and seen everything. The elves felt sorry for the shoemaker and his wife and wanted to do something to help. Dandykin spoke up. One thing we could do quite well is make a fancy pair of shoes to sell. Thistle and Popsy agreed, and so the elves used the leather Beltram had left on the work table to make a very special pair of shoes. And when they were through, they tidied up all the workspace, cleaned up all where Squint and roughed through everything. So here's the little elves. They're helping make shoes. Well, what's going to happen next? Imagine Bettina's surprise when he saw the workspace next morning. The puzzled shoemaker rubbed his eyes. Beltram must have worked all night to fix up the shop and make such beautiful shoes, she explained. Bettina, he called. What is it, Beltram? She asked. Rushing into the shop, you've done a wonderful job, he cried. Your best. Me? Asked Bettina. What are you talking about? These shoes, said Beltram. She said, these shoes, I didn't make them. And you didn't clean up the workshop either? He asked. No, she answered. I wonder who did, said Beltram. Bettina took the shoes from her husband. Let's put them in the window, he said. Shoes as fancy as these should not be hard to sell. So here's where they noticed the next morning that the shoes were made by the elves. Well, let's keep reading. Bettina was right. Minutes after they put the shoes on display, a man came into the shop. "They are the most wonderful shoes I've ever seen," he exclaimed. "Can you make more?" "Well," began Beltram, "I'm not, how quickly can you make them?" interrupted the customer. "People will come from miles around to buy these shoes." "I'll be sure to spread the word. Have Beltram and Bettina make as many shoes as you can, and we can make a lot of money." So he handed Beltram the money for the shoes that the elves had made that night, and left the shop. "Oh, Beltram, this is our lucky day," cried Bettina. Beltram hurried off to buy more leather. That night, while the couple slept, the elves slipped into the workshop just as they had done before. They measured and cut and hammered and stitched until the shop was filled with incredible shoes. As they worked, they sang their favorite song. "We're happy, merry, helpful little elves. We'll make you a shoe this minute. Your heart will swell, your lips will smile as soon as your foot steps in it." When they finished working, the elves hopped on a moonbeam and disappeared in a flash. Poosh! Off they went. So, here's Beltram, where the guy bought the new shoes that the elves had made, and here's the little elves making more shoes, and then you see the little sky where they fly off into the moonbeam. Well, the next morning, Beltram and Bettina gasped with delight when they saw all the pretty new shoes. Business improved as people would come from far and wide to buy their extraordinary shoes. Night after night, the elves returned to work their magic. And day after day, the shoemaker and his wife sold more shoes to delighted customers. So here's all the people, and they're buying all the new shoes. Well, next page says, oh no, one night before they went to sleep, Bettina asked her husband, "Aren't you curious to know who's making these shoes for us?" "Yes, Beltram, but I'm afraid if we try to find out, our luck will end." "Not if we're quiet," said Bettina. "Come, let's take a peek." So Bettina and Beltram crept down the stairs in their stocking feet and hid behind the workshop door. The shoemaker and his wife watched in amazement as Twizzle, Popsy, and Dannykin busily stitched shoe after shoe. "Quiet, wolf," whispered Beltram just before the dog could bark at the strangers. "The little people are our friends from now on. It's your job to protect them." So here's the little elves, and there's Beltram and Bettina, and they're making a new group of shoes over here for the next morning. And here they are. Here's Beltram and Bettina. They're trying to see who's making all the pretty little shoes. So the next page says, the shoemaker and his wife tipped back upstairs. Bettina blew out the candle beside her bed. "I'd like to do something for our little friends," she said. "I would too," said Beltram. "But what could we do?" "Their clothes was thin, must get cold in the winter. I'd like to make them some warm clothes, because in the wintertime it gets really cold. So it's always nice to bundle up and keep warm. The clothes are so thin, and so if we make them new clothes, they'll be warm all winter long. And I can make them special shoes to wear when it snows, so when they do their little walk to their moonbeam, they don't get snow on their feet." "Oh, Beltram," cried Bettina, "we can dress them just like we would dress our own little children." So here's Wolf on the bed, and here's Bettina, and here's Beltram. And they've already decided they're going to make them new clothes. So the next page says, well, the next day, Beltram and Bettina went shopping to buy warmest fabric and finest leather they could find. Then they spent the next few days making clothes and shoes for their little friends. And each night when the couple slept, the elves returned to make beautiful shoes. One night Squint returned the cat, too. He thought the little elves looked almost as delicious as mice, the little scurrying little mice. Well, He tried to pounce on them, tiny creatures, but luckily Wolf was there to protect them. Wolf chased Squint right out that window around the workshop, and the elves hid inside one of the tall booths they had been making. So here's Beltram and Bettina. They're buying material to make clothes for the little elves. And here's Squint jumping at the little elves thinking they're mice. Well, the next page says, Beltram and Bettina were awakened by the noise. They rushed down just as Wolf sent Squint scurrying out that window. The couple searched for the elves, but could not find them. They must have been frightened and left, Beltram said sadly. Let's leave the new clothes and shoes by the window in case they return. So here's Wolf, and here's Squint, and here's the little elves when they were hiding. They're hiding in a shoe. Well, the next page says, as Beltram and Bettina started to go upstairs, the elves climbed out of their hiding place. Look, cried Thistle when he saw the tiny little outfits. These clothes are just our size. Let's try them on, called Poopsie. The happy elves were admiring themselves in the mirror when Beltram and Bettina appeared to them. Don't be afraid, said Beltram. We would never harm you, especially after all you've done for us. Because the elves got them so much money and helped them make new shoes that everyone in the land wanted to buy. So we love the shoes too, and the clothes are so warm. Thank you for making them for us. The first fit right. Let's celebrate, Kyle, Poopsie, and their new outfits. So here's Beltram and Bettina. Here's Poopsie, Thistle, and I don't remember that last one, but, well, I'll remember his name in a minute. But here they are trying on their new clothes. Well, the next page says, the elves joined hands with Beltram and Bettina, and everyone began to dance around the workshop. Then, just mysteriously as they had come, the elves disappeared. Beltram and Bettina never saw their little friends again, but the elves have left a little of their magic behind, because from that day on, the couple had plenty of beautiful shoes to sell to their customers, and later that year, when Beltram and Bettina became the proud parents of triplets, guess what they named them? They named them what else but, of course, Popsy, Thistle, and Dannykin. I knew I'd remember that name, Dannykin. So here's Bettina, and here's Beltram, and here's Dannykin, and here's Thistle, and Popsy, and Wolf, and there's Squint hiding behind the window. Well, that seems to be all of the Elves and the Shoemakers. What did y'all think of that one? That's one of my favorite books. And let's see the next book. The next book is 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. As a kid, I used to love reading this book because I was always jumping on the bed. Well, 5 little monkeys said goodnight to their mama. So here's 5 little monkeys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's mama. They're all in bed. Well, then 5 little monkeys jumped on the bed. So here they are. They're all jumping on the bed. It's not good to jump, but it's so much fun. Off fell one and bumped his head. So you can see where he falls off and bumps his head. Then Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, so here's the doctor, and here's Mama, and here's one that fell and hurt his little head. No more monkeys jumping on the bed, as Mama told the little monkeys. So the 4 little monkeys were all left in bed, but the one had hurt his head, so he's sitting out alone in a nice, comfy little chair, just like this one. Well, the next page says, there's 4 little monkeys jumping on the bed, and guess what happens? One falls off and bumps his head, so guess what? Now there's got to be 3 little monkeys jumping on that bed, because now there's 2 hurt. So, Mama called the doctor again, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on that bed. So now you have 2 little monkeys that bump their heads sitting here hurt, and the last 3 are like, what are we going to do? So, of course, you know what they're going to do. So 3 little monkeys jumped on the bed, one fell off and bumped her head. So here's the 3 monkeys, they're doing bad again, they're jumping on that bed. And here's the little monkeys, and look, she fell off and bumped her head. So what's going to happen now? I bet the doctor gets called. Well, I can't turn that page. The mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on that bed. So now you have mama calling, and here's the doctor, and here's 3 monkeys sitting in the chair now because they jumped on the bed and they hurt their dang head. And here's 2 trying to figure out what they're going to do. I bet they're going to go jump on that bed too. Well, so the 2 little monkeys jumped on the bed. Of course you knew they were going to do that. And guess what? One more falls off and bumps his head. So here's that last 2, and he's looking down because he fell off and bumped his little head. So Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. So you got 1 monkey laying here, you got 3 in the chair because there's no more room. You got Mama telling the little baby one not to jump on the bed. Well, of course, look what happened. So 1 little monkey jumping on the bed, she fell off, and guess what? Bumped her little doggy. Well, so then Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed, all y'all hurt. So here's Mama calling the doctor again. Here's all the little babies, they hurt their little head. So 5 little monkeys fell fast asleep because now they didn't feel good because they got hurt. Thank goodness, said Mama, they're all fast asleep. Now I can go to bed myself. Well, that's November's, but before I like to leave and tell you Happy Thanksgiving one more time, I'd like to give a special shout out to Daddy Jarvis. He has given Kern County so much of his charity, and it's good to see him out there just giving and giving and never ask for anything in return. So Danny Jarvis, you have a great and happy Thanksgiving. It's good to have you here. And always remember, when you thank Pete, think of me. Love you all. Alize.